Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. It is now October, and I know that I am way behind on everything booktube. Videos, responding to people. Yeah, part of my excuse is that I had a busy end of week. You know, besides my traditional, I'm bad at keeping up with things, but I also had a busy end of the week with seeing a new specialist. And then, yeah, other things that just completely wiped me out for the past couple days. Usually I end up paying for doing stuff, leaving the house, seeing friends, etc. a couple days after the fact, plus we had weather. So that's my excuse. I know a couple of people in particular that I really want to respond to, so I'm really sorry for not having gotten back to you yet. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, because I'm sure the people who it does not apply to don't really care about about that. I wanted to go over some of my planned reading for this month. I think I touched on it in a previous video, but now that October has begun, I am a little bit more, I have a better idea of what I want to do. So, first things first, I will make sure to tag her in this video because I always forget the full name of her channel. I want to say it's Faith in Books, but like I said, I'll tag her below. She's doing for this coming quarter a Isaiah read along, so the book of Isaiah. And I'm using two different commentaries for that. I will be using the commentary on the book of Isaiah, an in-depth look at the Gospel of the Old Testament by Father Mitch Pacwa. Now, what I like about the setup of this is it's very similar, and I mentioned this in a different video. I'm pretty sure I did. It's very similar to a collection of bead that I have, where it gives you the verse, it talks a little bit about it, and then it goes on to the next verse. And it doesn't necessarily include the whole of Isaiah in here, so it really isn't sufficient by itself, I feel, if you want to read the whole context of Isaiah. But it does do a really good breakdown, it looks like. Very similar that Bede does too. I think it's Acts of the Apostles that I have that's set up like that. Now, this actually does include the full Isaiah. And yes, this is a lot bigger than, like, taller than I anticipated. This is commentary notes and study questions along with Isaiah. And the commentary notes, well, I believe there's several people contributing. I think the main contributor is Scott Hahn. He is the one who is like in all caps, where the other ones like Curtis Mitch, Dennis Walters, and Mark Gazaks, like some sort of Polish or something in that area of the world name that I can't pronounce. Gazak? Not even gonna try that. So they're kind of like, there is like contributors, like lesser contributors, but it seems to be mostly Scott Hahn. So for both of these books, I've done the introduction thus far, and I will be headed into Isaiah itself. And I think I'm supposed to read Isaiah 1 through 6 this week. And which means I'm going to have to pick up the pace because I have to do the introduction to Isaiah and then Isaiah 1 through 6. So what I'll probably do is I'll initially read what I plan to read that week from here, and then I'll use this to go more into depth. So that way I have the full context of the full book, or the full section of the book that I'm reading, instead of the pieces and parts, because this will sometimes skip like sections that they don't have, like that Father Pacwa doesn't have anything to say about. Like for Isaiah 1:10 to 17. Actually, hang on, a better example is, so let's see, they go, for example, so glancing through, it doesn't really get so much skips areas, but it might have more in depth for certain areas than others. So it might go verse by verse for certain parts of Isaiah, and then more generalized for others. So I still feel like it's beneficial to maybe read from this, which actually has, like I said, the full text of Isaiah with commentary at the bottom part of the page, and then go on to this one after I'm done with reading, 1 to 6. So the top part of the page is the actual text. The bottom half of the page is Scott Hahn's commentary. So that is, let me put Isaiah back over here, or this Isaiah back over here. Put this one here. So that's for Faith in Books Isaiah read along. Then I'm also going to be, as I try to do to some extent or another, I tried to at least make a nod in the direction of October. Now, I think I'll probably be reading at some point in Anna Catherine Green, and I'm looking over there because I have my Anna Catherine Greens behind y'all. But what I've started for October is something I kind of thought about starting last year but didn't get around to. And this is by David Crystal. I forget whose channel I saw this on. Was it Gavin's? Genre Books. Did I see this on your channel? I kind of feel like I did. I'll to tag you because I feel like it might have been your channel I saw this on. So that's the ticket for Soup, and it's Victorian views on vocabulary as told in the pages of Punch. So you had the Punch cartoons, plus you have their commentary on slang of the era and what they thought of it. So it's just kind of fun. I think I want to say I had a particular one marked. I might not have. Let's see. But yeah, no, I'm so far enjoying it. I'm not really very far yet. I just finished page 15, but it's not a very long book, so this shouldn't take me too long to read. It's, if you go to the last page, it's 95 pages. But it kind of makes me think of a book that I did a recent review on, which was, I think I said it was Final Curtain. It's the one, not Final Curtain. It's the one that I mentioned that, hang on, I actually have my YouTube channel up in front of me. Quick Curtain. Final Curtain is the last Poirot book. No, actually, sorry. Curtain is just the last Poirot book. But Quick Curtain is the book I'm thinking of, where they make constant reference to American slang and kind of like look down their nose at it. Well, this is kind of the Victorian equivalent of looking down your nose at the slang through the eyes of Punch. So they'll make fun of it through verse, through comics. Like this one has two young men, fashionable young men, and underneath it says, "English as she is spoke. Future Duke. What are you going to do this morning, eh? Future Earl. Oh, I don't know. Rot about, I suppose, as usual. Future Duke. Oh, but I say, that's so rotten. Future Earl. Well, what else is there to do, you rotter?" So, I did find it interesting, though, that and this is probably silly, when you read Poirot, they mention that he has a turnip-faced watch. And I always like, why does he have a watch that looks like a turnip? That's so weird. Well, in the slang, they mention turnip, an old-fashioned watch with a heavy silver covering. So he just had an old-fashioned ornate watch, which totally fits Poirot's character. So all of a sudden, that makes sense. It was slang. So yes, this is meant to be Victorian views on vocabulary, and that's a ticket for Soup, is where you get where you sometimes hear people still say, "That's the ticket." That's a shortening of that. So it says that's ticket for Soup. So a ticket for Soup was a card given to beggars to go to a soup kitchen. It seems to initially carry the meaning of, "You've got what you came for, now be off with you." But it gradually softened, influenced by the wider use of ticket to mean the needed, correct, or fashionable thing to do. As in the expression still heard, "That's the ticket." The dominant meanings became, "That's the way you'll get what you want," and that's the way you'll get rich. So this is just going to be, I think, a fun, quick read. Kind of falls in line with some of the other things I've read about word history. I mean, I'm thinking about word hoard, or more in a more modern sense, The Ring of Words with Tolkien and the Oxford English Dictionary. This kind of falls in line with some of that, and the Owen Barsfield book that I have on the history, or something about English word history. I can't remember the full title. I have it over there. So this will be a quick read, I think, for Victober. And if I get other things in for Victober, that's great. But that is to cover my requirement for Victober with a book that I've really been intending to read anyway. And like I said, meant to read probably last year, or hope to read probably last year. Now, Arion from Book Zealots, I'm trying to remember to write down people I want to tag, is doing a new readathon for October. I don't know if she's planning to extend it. It'd be cool if she does, but a new October readathon that's supposed to kind of be running in conjunction with Victober, as in it's covering the same time period, the time of Victoria's reign, but it is to be American. Oh, and that's why Anna Catherine Green falls into this one, not the Victober, because Anna Catherine Green is an American author. So that American related books of that era. So you've got, you can read Louisa May Alcott's, so that'd be Little Women, Rose in Bloom, Eight Cousins, Anna Catherine Green's books. Leavenworth Case is the first one of hers, which I do recommend. I've read that and The Strange Disappearance, or A Strange Disappearance, I believe is what it's actually called. You could read Sherlock Holmes I'm sorry, that's Victober. I'm going to be mixing these two up frequently, apparently. But more on point for Manifest Destiny, and please check out Arion's video on it. It's going to be a lot more coherent than mine. I am reading A Woman of Valor, Clara Barton, The Civil War by Stephen B. Oates. And this was already on my TBR, although I had it in for Victober because we didn't have something American at that point. And I am looking forward to this. I kind of got my attention on her again due to reading The Johnstown Flood by David McCullough earlier in the year. And they mentioned her as coming in as a relief worker, and just her personality kind of in the short section that she was mentioned kind of burst on the scene. And I was like, I need to read more about her. I mean, I read the typical things, like I read, I think, a small book that I had when I was in school, like in middle grade or maybe high school, but nothing that really struck a chord. I wasn't interested in nursing at the time. I've since had a nursing career, but also didn't go into the depth of what this is going to at 500 plus pages. I am alternating between reading and listening to this book because I was able to get this for $6 on Audible because I had gotten a 2-month membership for 99 cents a month. And then once my 2-month membership ended, I put the membership on pause. I'll probably end it. And now I have some books that I got deals on because of that membership. Plus I got a couple of books by free credit. So that's usually what I do with Audible. I try to work the system. But so I'm switching back and forth between listening to and reading because I have Christmas knitting to do and I have other gifts I need to make, and I'm not going to be able to do them. I mean, I can read and knit at the same time, but my focus isn't what it used to be. So it's a lot harder. Like I used to be able to knit pretty complex patterns while I was reading, but I'm not there anymore. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this. So far, it's good. I do have a little bit of an issue with the style so far. It's a little bit more, and I'm picky about this. It's a little bit more of assuming things than Claire's thought. And I know we do have some of Claire's letters, but it tends a little bit more towards the historical fiction voice for my taste. It's but it's fine. It's fine. It's just a little bit more of a narration, like a fiction narration, than I prefer. And I know, like I said, I know they're partially basing it on her letters, but I think some of it is taking some liberties. Yes, with probably evidence backing it up, but I'm just picky on that. I'm sure that I will still enjoy the book, though, and it's going to be an easy read / listen. And I started this today, and I'm on page 19. I started several books today. I started That's Ticket for Soup, started both the Isaiah books, started this one, continuing to listen to the Inklings. I'm about halfway through. I need to continue listening to the Stripping of the Altars. No timeline on these. Oh, this one I'm picking up again. I started this earlier in the year, put it on pause. This is for my new readathon, which is for this last quarter of the year, which is the Cozy with the Detection Club. This is covered in the part of the where you have options of different, parts of the challenge that you can do. I am counting this one for the book talking about, members of the Detection Club. So this is talking about Agatha Christie's writing. So detective fiction of Agatha Christie. So it's talking about her writing style. And for this readathon, and I'm doing it with my mom, Marlicious Meanderings, I am not picky about when you started the book. You don't have to start it for the long. You could have started a long time ago and just need to finish the impetus to finish it now. What's important is that you're reading it. So I'm looking forward to picking this up again. I do love studies of literature, critical studies of literature, so I look forward to jumping back into this. Then, some of these I don't, like John Adams, I have hopes to do it, but I know that I might not start John Adams till next month, or I've given myself permission not to have to stick to the strict David McCullough readathon schedule, because I have other things I want to read, and I still haven't finished Truman. And I'll finish Truman when I finish Truman. I kind of want to read, because I've been doing an in-depth study of the Liturgy of the Hours, just keep an eye on the time, because I have to live stream in about at 7:30, so I have a little bit of time. Anyway, I've been doing an in-depth study of the history of the Liturgy of the Hours and different ways to get into the praying of the Psalms, and just that sort of thing in regards to this quite old way of praying. So I've been diving deep into it. I've found several books, and this one is one, it's usually found at the beginning of the first volume of the 4-volume set. So this is the part of the Liturgy of the Hour. So the first volume is part of the Liturgy of the Hours that is set aside for Advent Christmas, which is a really great way, by the way, to get into the Christmas season, where you're just really steeped in prayer that's very Christmas oriented. So if I remember correctly, it's a lot of Isaiah, as well as some of the Psalms that point more to the coming of Christ. So the general instruction of Liturgy of the Hours is at the beginning of that first book, and I keep meaning to read it, but I don't want to write in my Liturgy of the Hours book in that way. So I picked up this so I can highlight in it, write in it, and get as much as I can out of it, because I do live stream Liturgy of the Hours three times a day: office morning prayer, office evening prayer, and night prayer. And the more I understand about it, the better I can answer people's questions, and the more rich I can make the prayer time for myself. Also, for the Detection Club, I am looking forward to starting the book on Father Ronald Knox by Evelyn Wow. I don't know if this will be started this month or next month, but I look forward to reading this. This is another bit of a clunker, it looks like. Or maybe it just looks thicker than it is. Let's see. Give me a page number. Oh, it's only 357 pages. It looks bigger. And then I want to read Nightingales, Nuns, and the Crimean War this month. And I don't think this actually falls into any of my alongs. I just want to read it, because I think it might be too early for, let's see. I want to say it might be a bit too early for my Victoria. Anyway, for the Victorian, let's see. All right, I had to double check my time period because, okay, so this does count for Victober, because it looks like her reign from 1837 to 1901, and this was in the 1850s. So I would really like to read this for Victober if at all possible. This was a book that I was waiting for, and I ended up getting with Christmas money. And I think I had like a thrift books, I think I had actually a thrift books gift card, because this was still a new book at that time. It's now come down in price, I believe, but I really, really wanted this book and had been waiting on it. And it's put out by Bloomsbury Press, Bloomsbury Academic. So this is a Victober goal. So yeah, that is the basic idea of what I plan to read. I do have fiction ones that I want to read as well. Like I have over here, underneath the pile of books. For the Detection Club one, and Detection Club adjacent. So this is Challenge 10, which is someone who was invited but might not have joined. So that would be Georgette Hare, who never actually joined the Detection Club, even though she had an invitation. And I'm thinking of starting with Why Shoot a Butler, because I love the title of it. And yeah, so I'm hoping to start this at some point when I'm looking for some fiction to read. But that's it so far for my plans for October. I know I probably won't get through all these, but I'm trying really hard to make better use of my time that I've been doing the past couple months. Maybe not waste as much time like falling down YouTube rabbit holes, and instead, if I have to do something where I have to listen to something, switch over to one of my books that I have both an audiobook and a physical one for, which would be, I have both. Well, I have The Fellowship, I have Stripping the Altars, and I have the Claire Bartram book, all on Audible as well. So I really need to make better use of that, and then just come back and highlight things if something strikes my fancy, like I usually do. So yeah, my alarm went off in the middle of my exit. So that's it. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope that you have a very blessed day. I need to go off and live stream for Literary to the Hours. I will see you all the next time that I record. God bless. Bye.